Hello, and welcome to Tales from the Streampunks. We are 4 members of a tabletop role-playing group, and we have been performing in Star Trek Adventures actual play streams on Twitch since before the game's release. I am Sam Leve, a member of said punks, and with me today to talk about those experiences and give some hints as to what may come next are some brilliant performers, storytellers, and die-hard Star Trek fans. But before we start talking about our experiences with Star Trek Adventure stories, I will let them introduce themselves and talk a little about their history and origin stories with Star Trek. So Eric, why don't you lead us off? Who are you and how did you get on this panel?
My name is Eric Campbell. I'm online at 16-bit Eric. I pretty much got on this panel. That journey started when I turned 7 and my grandfather brought home a VHS tape from a garage sale that had Star Trek 1, 2, and 3 recorded from HBO. And he gave it to me because he just liked to collect junk from garage sales. And I watched it and watched it and watched it until I ended up here. And then primarily I'm known for being a storyteller. I started off running Star Trek over at Geek and Sundry when I launched the show that I developed called Shield of Tomorrow. And we have been doing Star Trek games with the Streampunks ever since. Our last entry into Star Trek TTRPG was, of course, our big campaign, Clear Skies. And I started Blood of the Void, and I was happy to hand off the center chair of that one to a superior GM. And now I'm here with y'all. That is my story. The end.
Well, now with the end of Eric, Bonnie Gordon.
Hi, everybody. My name is Bonnie Gordon, online at Bonnie Bell G. And yeah, my Star Trek journey began in Vegas, which is probably not a typical thing to say. But I auditioned for the Star Trek, the experience in Vegas, and got cast as one of the actors in that, but knew nothing of Star Trek. So in order to keep my job and be able to improv with actual Trekkies, I had to start watching Star Trek and immediately became a Trekkie. So much so that I got to be a part of Shield of Tomorrow on Geek and Sundry. I kind of forced my way into Geek and Sundry through a bush, hiding in the bushes until they used me. I think that was, Eric, was that an accurate story? I think
No, you were asked to come to session 0 to find out if this would be something you were interested in. You became obsessed from the moment we started playing.
But I think there was definitely hiding in a bush.
Oh, you were looking in a bush. There was a point where we actually had to bring you food because we didn't know.
There was a shrubbery involved.
Yeah. There was, I mean, the thing was we showed up for session 0 and you had been there all night, just like sleeping behind. It was
very awkward. Yeah. But besides my awkwardness, I am a huge Trekkie. I love Star Trek, and I'm lucky enough to now be a part of Star Trek canon by doing voiceover on Star Trek Prodigy, the new Star Trek show on Paramount Plus and Nickelodeon. So everyone tune in and watch. The next episodes start on October 27th. I am the voice of the ship computer of the USS Protostar. So with that being said, I love being a part of this community. I love being part of the Streampunks. I can't wait to see what we do next. And on that note, I will pass it over to the lovely Aliza Pearl.
Why, hello, Bonnie. Hello, Eric. Hello, Sam. I'm Aliza Pearl. I don't know why I'm talking like this. You can hear my laundry sounds in the background. That's why I'm muted when I'm not talking. My laundry is happening. Real world relatable stuff.
I'm at an anime convention, so if you hear random like songs in Japanese behind me, it's the people dancing in the courtyard.
Love it.
Fair, yeah.
I also want to just give Elhofer Studios a shout out because I'm wearing their Operations inspired sweater, and that's a little clue as to what's to come soon from the Streampunks, but we'll talk about that later. Hi, I'm an actor, a writer, a pro TTRPGer between DMing, GMing, playing games, and I am part of the Streampunks and have been part of this crew since we were at Geek and Sundry in 2017, which is where we got our start together. I love Star Trek. I've loved it since I was a tiny child, and then had a renaissance of Star Trekness in my adulthood where I came back to the franchise and became obsessed again. And it's just kind of led to all this gaming Star Trek Adventures goodness for me. And yeah, it's been quite a wonderful journey, and I'm glad to be on it. And shout out to Modiphius and to Star Trek
Yes.
Online, who have been such wonderful collaborators with us, with the Streampunks, and we just love telling these stories with all of the people present and all the people who have come onto our streams and watched them as well. So thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you all. So let's give a little bit of background, though, shall we? Eric, you first assembled this crew back in 2018 for Shield of Tomorrow.
Assimilated, get it right.
Bonnie,
Mhm.
don't you
Sorry.
dare.
Oh, are there no
And you
pencils?
know why.
Sorry, there's no pencils around, my bad.
Good for them. But like, we started playing Star Trek Adventures back when it was still in beta, when we didn't have full rule books and everything. So, Eric, for those who might be unfamiliar with Shield of Tomorrow or even with Star Trek Adventures, can you explain a little bit about what Shield of Tomorrow is and why you chose it back then?
Shield of Tomorrow is the Star Trek TTRPG. I didn't even realize this until after the show had already finished its run, but we were the first Star Trek TTRPG for the system to come out on Twitch, which I didn't even think about. But I originally, Geek and Sundry had told me that they wanted to give me another show to follow up with Eric's TBD RPG, which was our Doctor Who campaign. And we had a couple of meetings, and they had said, well, Mercer's running D&D, so we've kind of got fantasy covered. Why don't you be our sci-fi GM? So I pitched a couple of ideas, but then I thought, oh, wait a minute, I've got my tax return coming in. What if I blew the whole thing on buying the entire collection of Decipher's D6 Star Trek books? So I did. I blew a couple of $100 to get the out of print Decipher books, and I was like, we don't have any problem with me running an out of print Star Trek RPG, do we? And one of the people in the office goes, aren't they coming out with a new one? And I was like, are they? And so they showed me the link, and I was like, does anybody have the email to this company? And that's how that started.
Wow.
And then, and then the next part was choosing a name for the show, which was weeks of agonizing, and then picking who I wanted to come play, and that was pretty easy. I definitely wanted my TBD crowd to follow me over to play some Star Trek. I wanted us to just keep being a group because it was so much fun, and that's how Shield of Tomorrow started coming together. And I still have all those Decipher books. They're lovely. They'll never be used now, but they're lovely.
I think I have one that I never gave back.
The Kolinar.
Yeah.
I think I gave you the book of Kolinar, so that
I have
so you
it.
could study Vulcans. Yeah. I remember that. Yeah, it's funny because I was about to buy it again, and I was like, wait, don't I own this?
I have it. It's yours. I will give it back someday.
It's only been
Fair.
5 years.
It's safe and sound. It's beautiful.
I trust you.
It's safe
I trust
with me,
you.
but I will give it back someday. I promise.
That sounds good. Yeah. But there's actually an interesting story about, and I've only told this once before, but just as a real quick add-on, there's an interesting story about why we chose the name Shield of Tomorrow, because if you think about it, it's kind of a clunky name for a show. It's pretty large as a name for a show. But we were having discussions about what the show was going to mean, what was going to be the theme, why we were doing it. Not to drudge up sensitive topics, but it was coming out. Shield of Tomorrow was launching during a pretty bleak era in how science was being perceived by certain leadership in certain administrations, and it was pretty dark. So I remember thinking that should be a theme of like the science aspect to it, and trying to preserve the ultimate thing that led to the naming of the show, though, was a photograph that I had seen from World War I. And I think y'all remember me telling you the story ages ago. It was when Brian Foster did a Q&A with us. But there was an old black and white photo from World War I. And it was about this, I forget the name of which part of France it took place in, but it was this incredible battle where like hundreds of thousands of people lost their lives in the battle. The photograph just showed utter devastation and horror and ugliness. And the battle itself took something like 4.5 months, and the winning side ended up, their victory was that they had won less than a mile's worth of territory to push the front line. And the title of the photograph was "What We Won." And it just
Wow.
dug into my heart how terrible it was. And I thought the impetus behind Shield of Tomorrow is to preserve our idealism and preserve what it is that we the best part of ourselves in the darkest times to protect, because we believe there is a tomorrow, and to protect what is coming next. This is what we invest ourselves in, and what we refuse to give over to. So that was the impetus behind the naming of the show.
That's deep. Wow. I'm going to go look at that picture up.
Trigger TW.
Okay.
It is a rough picture.
Mm.
It is rough. But yeah. Good show though. It was a good show. Very optimistic, very hope punk, very spring. Yeah.
Honestly, I can say Lark Sage is probably my favorite character I've ever played ever in any RPG ever.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think and I felt, honestly, Shield of Tomorrow, I have such fond memories. Anytime I think about it, I just smile, because I think our group, we just had something so special, and the story was so special, and it was something that we all loved. And it was something I looked forward to every week. And I mean, honestly, playing with y'all, any game I look forward to. But honestly, Shield of Tomorrow has a special place in my heart. It kind of started my obsession with being in more RPGs and campaigns, and also finding that spark of creating a character that you kind of fall in love with, like I did with Lark Sage. So thank you for that, Eric. Thank you.
Yeah, you did that.
All right.
Yeah.
So,
And
Bonnie,
also-
you're the voice of the ship's computer on Star Trek Prodigy. You've premiered 2 Star Trek Adventures characters, and so
and I'm a tribble. Don't forget that. I'm a tribble.
And she's a tribble.
You are a tribble.
I'm a tribble on Star Trek Online.
It's indisputable, but like, you create all of these really lovely characters. So
Thank you.
in the whole wide galaxy of Star Trek, how do you approach a new character who lives, or I guess if you're a computer, just like speaks in such a rich setting with all of the options in the world? How do you approach finding Lark Sage?
I feel like, especially with all of our characters, there was a piece of ourselves within the characters that we created, which is what made them so special. And with Lark, I didn't know what to do with her in the very beginning. I had an idea of who she was and where I wanted her to go. And the way she interacted with all the, basically what I'm trying to say is I discovered things about Lark and things I loved about Lark playing with you, playing with Aliza, playing with Hector, like interacting with all of your characters is what made me discover more things about myself and more things about Lark Sage. So honestly, you, Sam, I don't know what the question was. I can't remember what the question was. This is all about answering questions that I don't know answers to. No, I feel like I'm notorious for creating ridiculous backstories as well, with like secrets. I love creating secrets about my characters. And with Larks, I kept it so secret for so long. I think I kept it till the end of the campaign. Oh dear, hold on, I'm getting a call. Let me send that.
Like, and in that spirit of secrets.
Ooh. Sorry. But no, I feel like that the more we played together and the more we fully enriched ourselves in the story, that's what brought the character to life for me. Yeah, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I should tell you, Bonnie, that I have like 5 or 6 bookmarks in my browser that take me directly to moments from the episodes over on the GNS Twitch channel. Some of my favorite moments that we had playing. Probably my favorite moment with Lark is when she learned her real name.
That was
still,
I just got goosebumps. Yeah.
Still that was, I sat on that secret for the whole friggin' campampaigne. And
yeah,
it was all
speaking
because
of
of the backstory
secrets.
you gave me. Yeah, it's all because of the backstory you gave me.
It was such a amazing show. I mean, same thing with Clear Skies and creating Macrell and doing a secret with her character as well. The more I get to play with all of you and like get thrown into the story, the more I have to use to create more with the character. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does.
Yeah. I discover things about myself and about the characters I play as we play, and I thank y'all for that. As far as the computer goes, doing the computer on Protostar, that's a little different. But again, it's in a sense, it's so special. Well, this is a fun fact. I actually got to do Scratch for Gwen in the very beginning of the show. So I recorded about 8 episodes of Gwen, of that character. So I kind of got to help develop her character and her character growth, because a lot about that character changed as the show grew and as they started rewriting and starting to animate. So I got to kind of discover Gwen's character and her growth and character arc, and got to be a part of that. So that was also extremely rewarding. But being a part of Star Trek and taking over a role that was originally created by Majel Barrett Roddenberry is a dream, and also extremely intimidating. And luckily, the Star Trek community has been so welcoming and so wonderful. So yeah. Anyway, I'm rambling. Y'all just mute me.
It turns out it's really easy to welcome a very lovable and talented and delightful person.
Thank you.
And how often do you get to hear Tribble's thoughts on these things?
Mhm.
Never.
Right? Oh yeah. Let me talk about how I feel about when I'm a Tribble.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
this is the really.
You have to say it all in Tribble. You have to do the rest of the panel in the rest of the panel.
I just sound like
Tribble
Murph
face.
now.
Yeah. yeah.
All right, but I think of the Streampunks, Aliza's probably had the broadest range of characters, certainly of player characters, because you not only played a science officer from Starfleet with Talon in Shield of Tomorrow, but in our Klingon show, Blood of the Void, you captained the IKS-4Q and became storyteller for a Klingon series. So tell us all, because I was only ever on the Starfleet side, what's it like to tell Klingon tales of glory, and how is it different than the stories on the Federation side?
Can you hear the Sam FOMO?
I mean, I loved it. I love the Starfleet side, but there is something really rich about Klingon culture. Of all the Star Trek cultures, I should say, besides humanity and Vulcans, Klingons have the most lore, the most cultural references on screen, and in books as well. And so getting to dive into that and mine as much info as we could from different canon sources and then create our own Klingons was just such a treat, and it felt really good. Was very fun. I also loved the fact that we got to just like allow them to be Klingons, but in our own way. Like it didn't feel like we were forcing the point of like Klingons are honor, and it wasn't the stereotypes of Klingons. We tried to give like well-rounded, three-dimensional Klingon characters who had they had onions, they were Shrek, they had layers, you know. So yeah, just like Blood of the Void was such a treat, and yeah, getting to be a player character as the captain and then become the GM was a very unique experience. And obviously, I have always had so much respect for what Eric does as a GM, and then stepping into his shoes, I was like, okay, no pressure. Like, it's a big job, you know? And when you have something as detailed as Star Trek and Klingon-ness, yeah, it's a lot of work to just like absorb all of that and fill your game with all of those details.
This is a fun fact that maybe I probably shouldn't say, but actually in Aliza's, to basically push how amazing Aliza is. And I knew Aliza was studying Klingon and studying everything about the Klingon culture with Blood of the Void. And when I was auditioning and doing Scratch for Gwen, it translates a lot. And there were a few words in Klingon that I was like, oh, I want to make sure I pronounce this correctly, but I cannot. Like, I don't want to go up to like the director and be like, hey, so I actually called Aliza and I was like, I can't really tell you what this is for. And I can't really tell you why I need this, but can you pronounce this Klingon word for me? And Aliza was like, I got you. Thank you. So thank you, Aliza, because there was like 90% of the words I was sure about, but there was like 1 or 2 that I was like, oh no, I'm going to mess this up. And Aliza came to my rescue, and I went into the booth and looked extremely prepared.
Yes,
I was like, oh, translate Klingon, done.
Happy to be of help.
Yeah, so Aliza helped me a lot on that. So Aliza definitely, when she says she did her research, she was not kidding.
I very much immerse myself in things. And yeah, there was like a 2-year period where I was like just deep into Klingon culture and lore and language for sure.
Oh my gosh. I got you is my new favorite Klingon word, by the way.
What is it? I
Oh,
got you.
I got you. That was what you said to Bonnie.
Oh, I get it.
I got you. You have to say it. You got to sing it like a Klingon.
got you.
I got you. And then everyone around you goes, bless you.
And you thought you wouldn't learn any Klingon in this panel. Here you are. So we're a gaming panel, but this is Fleet Week. We're about ships. Bonnie is a ship. We have had a bunch of ships.
Look at that aft. That's my favorite thing to write.
I like
friends.
big ships and I cannot lie.
I'll remember that because we had Little Ship USS Sally Ride. We had Scary Ship Audacity, Scary Ship Borku, and of course, we had the hottest ship of all time, the USS Ross. So going down the line, just do any of you have a favorite memory of any ships? Just good ship memories.
The moment where, who was it? The moment where on the Sally Ride, y'all were checking the bioneural gel packs in the Jeffrey tube, and you saw the leaf growing out of the bioneural gel pack. That the gasp, that moment, that might have been one of my all-time favorite ship moments. That was pretty fantastic. We got a little more technical with the rules in Clear Skies because we were a little more comfortable, and because Modiphius had been putting out a lot more they'd been putting out a lot more rules clarifications on a lot of things. They've been putting out a lot more books, like the Klingon core book was amazing. They put out a couple of like updates. The command books and stuff like that has really like helped streamline and help clarify a lot of things, and it was great. So we were able to really dive in and utilize the rules a little bit more in Shield of Tomorrow and Clear Skies. And every time Xander had the opportunity as our chief engineer in Clear Skies to just like, anytime Xander was doing any kind of roles to engineer something or to maintain, I just love how just viciously passive aggressive Midwestern Xander was about touching his ship. Like,
oh sure, just go ahead. Oh,
not even the
sure,
captain, like even Captain Sull would be on the receiving end of that passive aggression. Of like, I feel like Xander might be the first go screw yourself with a smile on his face, like chief engineer, where he was just like, oh sure, yeah, no, we could do that, but you're gonna have to not, like, you're gonna have to step back, or like he always had this attitude of okay, well, no, but kind of like this snark to him that I loved that. Yeah, Ross. And the other time I can think about the Ross that I loved was actually towards the end of our run, when Gina had taken the center chair because Saul was away, and Gina had to figure out how to rescue an enemy ship of the True Way, which I took right from Star Trek Online. The True Way was y'all had encountered a Cardassian vessel, and you were trying to rescue it. And for the first time and only time in the history of our show, we did a saucer separation because, unfortunately, the funny thing about the Ross is she has 2 warp cores. She has an auxiliary warp core in the saucer section. It was part of her prototype design. The funny thing is, when Ross did a saucer separation, the reason behind it is because the closer you get to a subspace rip like that, the more you risk the ship because of the warp core. It is literally pulled to the subspace tears like magnets. So the Ross is like, oh, well, we should leave the other warp core behind. Typically on another starship, this would have worked, like getting the saucer to just go and tractor beam the Cardassian vessel out. But because the Ross had a second warp core in the saucer section, like the Ross had to fight hard to rescue that ship and get it out of there. I thought it was really great. And it was great to see Gina take the center chair. It was great to see Gina get like really take action and like make big decisions. And it was a lot of fun. So I think those are my 2 favorite moments.
I'm going to jump off of that really quick because you mentioned 2 warp cores. As we started Clear Skies, again, I had to keep the fact that I was a part of Star Trek Prodigy a secret for a very long time because animation takes a long time. And Eric was like, "Oh, our ship has 2 warp cores." And the whole time I'm like, "Oh my God." Because the USS Protostar has 2 warp cores. And the whole time I'm like, all of my worlds are colliding and I can't tell anybody. And I'm kind of freaking out. And also I'm like, what if they watch this and think that like,
No,
Eric,
you're
like
welcome,
I linked
Protostar.
Yeah. No, it was already happening before Clear Skies. Obviously, it was completely unlinked. It's the same thing. The same thing. People think that like, obviously, Lark Sage and Ensign Tilly are like one and the same. And I'm like, no, they're 2 different things.
And the Orion on lower
It
decks.
just came out around. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So it's just or a chief medical officer. That's a Cation.
Yeah.
It's almost like all of our things are everything combined.
Hire
I'm
us.
just like, what?
Paramount Plus, hire
We're
us.
obviously psychic or psycho, one of the 2.
We're in sync here.
Yeah. Anyway, that has nothing to do with anything, but it just made me giggle. 2 warp cores.
I can't say 2 without making just a little bit of a face to this day.
I know, it's bad.
Yep.
I also want to add that speaking of the parallels, the Improvised Generation, my improv Star Trek show.
Oh yeah.
First Black female captain, which was my character of a ship, whose daughter was antisocial and very rough around the edges, and who served on the same ship. Just saying, hire us, Paramount Plus.
Yeah.
They are. Look at Bonnie.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
One down.
Hire us, Paramount Plus.
1 down, 8 more to go. Let's do it.
Yeah. But I have some ship moments that I want to share.
Please do.
So on Shield of Tomorrow, I have very strong visuals still in my brain of that ship. And there are a couple of places. Number 1, stellar cartography. I always had a very clear picture of that. And then our science labs and things. Because I was a science officer, I felt like my character spent a lot of time there. But the big memory I have is of when, break out your pencils, when we went into the cargo bay and there was that box and we had to open the box and shit went down because Borgy Borg. I can see that scene in my head and the cargo bay and the box and all of us around. I can see it so clearly. And yeah, the Sally Ride is like a very tangible ship in my imagination. And that is one of the like biggest memories of it. And then the other one is the Borku. One of my favorite Borku ship moments. Well, actually, there's a couple. We had some really fun meals in the galley. Very Klingon meals and singing and just like shit talking. And I think a knife fight happened a couple times. And so that's one part of the ship that I loved. And then the time that we did basically a last man standing or last Klingon standing throughout the whole ship, where they all had to hunt each other as like a training exercise / blowing off steam between getting from point A to point B in the middle of nowhere. The crew just all were like hiding, and they all had different tactics. So like one character, Phil's character, was like became part of the wall and did like some camouflage stuff and just waited everyone else out. And then other folks were like hiding up in above the hallways to drop down on other people. Some people set traps. It was so dope. And like the Borku just came alive. Like all the different nooks and crannies of the Borku were used in that episode. And I fucking loved it. And that just happened because the characters were like, what do we do right now? Like I love that because it was an organic moment that happened on the ship. So yeah.
What are some of yours, Sam? I want to hear yours.
Oh goodness, I don't know, but they wouldn't be FedExing a Borg. It would be the part where the Borg is on the outside of the ship. You know, I prefer my Borg, broadly speaking, to be exterior to my vessel at all times.
Makes
and
sense.
So transporting them and pinpoint shooting them in space is a particularly beloved moment. But I think really my favorite ship moment was right before we started Clear Skies, because Eric and Thomas Moroni were co-developing and designing a new class, the Ross class, which is now available in Star Trek Online, and the Ross class was on Picard. So it is the best. It's a wonderful, very hot ship, and we love it very much.
We're technically all canon now.
Yep.
We are all photon canon. So, like, maybe 2 nights before we launched, I remember Eric showing me a YouTube video that illustrated the scale of galaxy class and galaxy-like ships, and just how enormous the thing I was about to be in charge of was. Especially after a littler ship like Sally. It was very cool and very humbling, and gosh, that's a whole lot of ship to love. But there's also stuff upcoming, and we've been teasing it throughout the panel. And I want to talk about the new Streampunks production of Trek coming in 2023, led by Aliza Pearl. What juicy details can we tease from you to drop for our audience about what comes next for Streampunks and Trek?
Oh my goodness. Well, as I said before, I'm wearing this operation sweater because we are doing an operations heavy campaign next. And it is Clear Skies. Oh, I think we lost Bonnie. I'll pause to see if that messes up our Oh yeah, we're all over the Oh, we have 2 Sams. Okay, it's fixed. 2 Sams is better than 1 anyway. So yes, this is an operations heavy campaign, and we are incorporating and using as inspiration the new Utopia Planitia book that Modiphius has come out with to create a Utopia Planitia based campaign. So it's, as some of my fellow Streampunks have referred to it, it's the Clear Skies version of DS9. We're going to be at Utopia Planitia shipyards, and it is the first crew back after it's been rebuilt after some things that have been mentioned in Picard, early Picard, if you have or haven't watched it yet. And we have a little visual tease that also tells you the name of this new Clear Skies campaigns. Can we see that?
Drum roll. It's not terrible drum roll. Sound effect. Yeah, thank you. Thank you. I'm terrible at doing that. Ta-da! There it is.
There's our baby, Clear Skies Perseverance. That gorgeous logo, just beautifully put together by Thomas Moroni. And I'm so thrilled. Look at Mars. Look how pretty she is. We're going to be on Mars, y'all. We're going to be on Mars. Oh my God, I'm so excited. We have so many more things we want to tell you about it, but we're going to just take our time and release information as it comes out. The cast is freaking amazing. I can't tell you yet who it is because we're still solidifying, but holy crap, you're going to be so excited to see who's going to be joining us on this adventure. And also another big thing to announce is that we're going to be streaming it right fucking here, y'all. Cryptic Studios. We're going to be streaming it on this channel. What? I'm so excited, y'all. It's just, we're very excited. We obviously have a home at Q Times. We will still be at Q Times doing games over there, but I'm excited to bring the Star Trek campaign in concert with Modiphius's new book and with Star Trek Online's collaboration. It's just like all the Star Trek right here on this channel. I'm losing it. Clear Skies Perseverance coming at you in 2023.
Yay.
It's going to be so good. I can't wait to see what you do with it. And just having all of Mars as your canvas.
Mars, do you know how much I love Mars?
I don't. You like Mars?
I love Mars. She's so pretty. Yeah, and Utopia Planitia, shipbuilding, anti-grav stations. Oh my God. My players.
That deluxe edition book with the old Enterprise on it, that's the one that just, I want that. It's so bad.
Gorgeous. The book is gorgeous. We've had the pleasure of flipping through it and looking at it for inspiration, and it's just, I'm so excited to dive in and see what we come up with together. So yeah, stay tuned. Make sure you're following this channel, Cryptic Studios, and stay tuned also to Streampunks for, on the socials for more updates about the show.
Yeah.
Excellent. All right. So we have a couple extra minutes for some questions, but to see if and whether those come in the interim, I'm gonna give y'all a lightning round. You ready?
Okay,
Okay.
ready.
Aliza, which is more fun? Ship with a blade of armor or ship with cloaking device?
Cloaking device.
Done. Yes. Correct. Eric, which is more fun? Playing a feckless Ferengi or a stupid, sexy Orion?
Oh, it's gonna be a Ferengi. No, I love playing the Ferengi
I
over
love your
everything else.
Ferengis.
Absolutely. Yep. 100%.
All right. Round 2 for both of you.
Okay.
Best ship class. I will not ding you points, no matter your answer, though you will get double points if your answer is the USS Ross, because I am a neutral and unbiased moderator. Best ship. Go.
My favorite will always be the Constitution class. I absolutely will always love and adore every variation I've seen of it. The latest one from Strange New Worlds is just so hot. I just love the Constitution. Yeah.
I am. I have two answers. Defiant class because of its historic pivotal change from the scientific and exploration diplomatic ships to a warship. Defiant class is dope. And then also the Galaxy class. I mean, if literally I see the Galaxy class and it feels like home. It feels like I grew up on the Galaxy class. So yeah.
Nice.
Aw.
We didn't
All
say
right.
the Ross because it's obvious.
Obviously, Ross.
We
is
didn't.
like the
If
top-
anybody's wondering why we didn't
Yeah,
drop
no.
our ship, it's because it's kind of obvious.
The
We're trying
Ross
to be.
is a gorgeous ship.
The hottest. The most transcendent. All right. Now, let's take a couple questions, starting with the Trexpert. How did we react when we found out that Bonnie was going to be the protostar?
Lost shit.
Kind of like an indignation that it took them this long.
Hey,
Yeah.
right?
Mild,
that.
just like yeah, we've been saying, like,
Yeah.
but really thrilled because I know for a fact that the showrunners of Prodigy really went to bat for Bonnie and believe in Bonnie, and Bonnie has become just such a shining star in the fandom, and I think I personally, I don't know anything, but I personally think we're probably going to see more of Bonnie in Star Trek.
Yeah.
That's my personal belief.
I think it couldn't have happened to someone who loved Trek more or could bring that love into a character so effectively. It's not just that she loves it, and it's not just that she's brilliant. It's that someone who loves it and is brilliant is a ship, and it's what makes her so good to carry on the ship's computer legacy. I also want to catch this one by Turquoise Sea about how hard is the challenge of building a good character, particularly for a utopian series like Trek, striking the balance between not being Mary Sue, not being so flawed they shouldn't have been in Starfleet. Aliza, you wanna lead that off as someone who's done player characters on the Federation side?
Sure, yeah. For me, it's about finding why they want to be here. Because that second part of your question is so important. I love that you brought that up, someone not being so flawed that they shouldn't be in Starfleet or they wouldn't be in Starfleet. Like, you always got to find the reason. Why are they in Starfleet? But also in TTRPGs, why are they in this party? You know, I love grumpy characters. I love people who are kind of antisocial, but they have to love their party. They have to be here because they love the other people here and they want to help them and protect them. Because otherwise it just doesn't work long term to play a character like that. So find the why they're here, why they are in Starfleet, and then what is maybe something that is holding them back from being the best that they can be, or something that was a big question in their minds that they need answered. I think those are two really easy ways to just like create a really nice foundation for a character.
I think Starfleet's a workplace, and you can build a character who has things that they need to learn, flaws they need to overcome to be the best versions of themselves, to have character arc, to have movement, to let the events of the series affect them without that necessarily being to the extent that you shouldn't be doing your job.
Right.
That we all have things to do, and hopefully we ought not all be unemployed about them, because we want to be here, being Streampunks, bringing new stories to you as we have discussed and as we will continue to do in future, because that is all of the time we have. So we're going to wrap it up here. If you want to learn more about the Streampunks and stay posted about the upcoming series, you can follow the Streampunks on Twitter at StreampunksRPG, or subscribe at coffee.com/Streampunks and join the Streampunks Discord for the latest news. I'm Sam DeLeve. You can find me on Twitter at Tchaikovsky, ChaiKovsky. Now, Aliza, Eric, tell the good people where they can find you.
Yeah, you can find me at Aliza Pearl on Twitter and Instagram, and on TikTok, The Real Aliza Pearl.
And you can find me on Twitch and Twitter, and pretty much everywhere I'm social is at 16-bit-Eric. And you can find Bonnie at Bonnie BLELLG, so Bonnie Bell G on Twitter and stuff.
Excellent.
And did we say our Streampunks? Streampunks RPG is our
Streampunks RPG is where you want to follow at Streampunks RPG if you want all of the updates on what we're doing with Clear Skies, and if you want to tune in to watch the show here on Star Trek Online.
So thank you so much to Cryptic Studios for hosting this panel, inviting us to participate. We hope you all enjoy the rest of Admiralty Day here for Fleet Week. So please stick around for the next panel, bringing starships home. And until then, live long and prosper.